Well, there's a reason why this week in the preview I said that I was going to make an individual video reviewing the Cascadia Derby between the Portland Timbers and the Seattle Sounders. Because of this. This was no doubt one of the best Cascadia Derby I have ever seen. Probably right up there in terms of the playoffs series between both of these teams back in 2018. And if you want to go with non-playoff, probably the 4-4 draw that we saw back in 2014 between these two teams. But there's no doubt that this is probably the best Cascadia Derby if you're a Seattle Sounders fan, and probably the worst Cascadia Derby if you are a Portland Timbers fan. And yet, despite the scoreline as lopsided as this game is, if you actually watch this game for probably 75 minutes in this game, or I should say 71 minutes into this game before the Sounders made it 4-2, the Timbers were by far the better team. And they, by far, had more of the opportunity that the Sounders had. But, unfortunately, as the old cliche goes, when you don't put away your opportunity, it's going to come back to haunt you. And especially when you don't put away your opportunity and the opposition is able to do pretty much at every time and also punish you of every mistake that you make. This is why we get the scoreline that we got at the end of this game. Now, early in this game, I thought the Portland Timbers, as I mentioned, they were on the front foot early in this game. And we also almost had a Chara combination in the 9th minute when Diego Chara actually put a good ball into the box, but his brother Jimmy Chara just could not quite control his first touch. And that first touch was so bad from Jimmy Chara that actually ran right into Stephon Cleveland. They mentioned this is only the second time that two sets of brothers are playing from the opposite side. The first time actually happened not long before, and it was actually in the same matchup when both Christian Rodin and Alex Rodin from the Seattle Sounders faced against Diego Chara and Jimmy Chara not long after. So in some way, this is kind of like the only time we ever see this has ever happened. But you know, in terms of have it ever happened before, yes, it has, and this is of course only the second time. But then in the 13th minute, the Sounders gets the opening goal as Montero would make it 1-0 in favor of the Timbers, and this was definitely not a great moment for Mabiala and Ivicic. Both certainly will get a lot of shame after this game from the Timbers fan because both of them did not play well whatsoever, and especially for Ivicic, where this one, first of all, Mabiala didn't clear this one away, but Ivicic basically, all he needs to do is kind of smother the ball. He wasn't able to do so, and just let that ball dangling in the box. And when you let the ball dangling in the box, you're basically asked for your opposition to basically slot it away. And it was Freddie Montero, the one that was able to do so. And the Sounders were able to get a 1-0 lead. But the Timbers, once again, was controlling the game and was looking to try to push for the equalizer. Cleveland absolutely robbed Felipe Mora, who tried to chip over the keeper on a one-on-one situation. Stephon Cleveland was absolutely a monster in this game, and in many ways was one of the big reasons why the Timbers only scored 2 goals in this game, because if he wasn't sharp in this game, this could have been maybe 3 or 4-1 in favor of the Timbers heading into the second half, or maybe 3 or 4-2, because the Sounders did score 2 goals in the first half. But in the 22nd minute, Cleveland then denied Mabiala, who had a free header, before Jimmy Chara had a shot that was actually deflected and actually hits the side. I think I actually didn't finish writing that note. But then in the 28th minute, Forshive then drive one from long range that once again was denied by Stephon Cleveland. And again, the Timbers were putting tons of pressure on the Sounders. The Sounders just could not able to keep possession and just kind of almost getting pinned deep. But as I said before about this match, anytime when the Timbers make a mistake, yeah, they're going to be punished. And they got punished here in the 29th minute as they gave the ball away. But still, despite that, what a golazo this was from Freddie Montero. And another thing that it was also interesting about this game is the fact that the Sounders, not only they were rueful in terms of their finishing, but they scored some of the best goals I've seen so far from this season. And good luck for whoever decided to vote for Goal of the Week. Obviously, I know Atlanta fans is going to try every way to make sure Joseph Martinez tap-in goal against LAFC is going to win Goal of the Week. But I have a feeling Sounders fan will have something to say that, and there could be maybe a little bit of a voting war in terms of the goal of the week this week, with the way that which one is going to be truly the one. But there's definitely a conversation that this could be one, because that was an absolute stunner from Freddie Montero, who had an incredible game in this one for the Seattle Sounders. And just like that, it was 2-0 in favor of the Sounders, despite the fact that the Timbers were by far the better team up to this point. And finally, they did show that dominance in the 32nd minute, as they got one back from Sebastian Blanco and Felipe Mora. The goals were actually scored right when the FS1 broadcast were interviewing former Timbers legend Rodney Morales. Before this game, Rodney Morales actually signed a one-day contract with the Portland Timbers, and they, of course, honor him before the game. So it's very great to see that of course, happened. But, he certainly was a good luck charm for the Timbers, because, again, in the midst of the interview was talk about how the Timbers need to capitalize their opportunity, and what do you know? There you go. They capitalized the opportunity, and in some way, I feel like they should have just keep interviewing him for the rest of the game, because, if you decided to do that, then maybe the Timbers would actually come back from this game and won't have to just deal with so much, just kind of pour so much pressure on the Sounders and pretty much have nothing to show for. But the momentum, of course, was back with the Timbers. Mora then drive one from long range that goes wide before, in the 2nd minute of stoppage time, Jimmy Chara hits it straight to Stefan Cleveland. And again, despite all the opportunity that the Timbers had, the Sounders have a 2-1 lead over the Timbers heading into the second half. So we go to the second half, and the Sounders, knowing the fact that they were definitely under siege for majority of the first half, they knew that they have to maybe bring some attacking option to try to tilt the balance of this game a little bit. So they decided to bring on Nico Ladero in this game, and in the 46th minute, that didn't really kind of take effect for the Sounders, mainly because the Timbers continued to push. Asprilla with a big opportunity from close range, but he hooks it high. Before, in the 52nd minute, finally it looks like parity is restored for the Timbers, as of all people to score the equalizer, it's George Forshive scoring in the 52nd minute, and I think he kind of hit that shot. I mean, I know Stu Holden kind of mentioned the fact that he knows what he's doing. No, he doesn't know what he's doing, Stu Holden. I'm pretty sure he mishit that one, but it was just kind of one of those mishit where it kind of bounced on the ground, and, unfortunately, it bounced on the ground high enough where it just goes over the head of Stefan Cleveland. That kind of came off his lines a little bit, because he, of course, made it originally a big save prior to this play. But yeah, the Timbers were back to level pegging with the Sounders, and at this point, you would definitely not be wrong with the fact that the Timbers could potentially go on to win this one, because the momentum was all with the Portland Timbers. Mabiala but that being said, in the 54th minute, Mabiala, of course, I thought he got away with conceding a penalty after he brought down Rui Diaz just outside the box. Now, on first glance, I thought that could have been a penalty for the Sounders, but on the replay, it looks like he just found him outside the box. But nevertheless, even though it wasn't a penalty, the Sounders take advantage of the free kick and were immediately able to get themselves back on top, as Rui Diaz scores an absolute stunning free kick. And again, just so many incredible goals that the Sounders have scored. This could have been also one of those ones that you could say he could be goal of the week for this week. But yeah, this was a huge goal for the Sounders, because you just kind of sense that the Timbers has the momentum, and now all of a sudden it seems like that momentum might have been killed because of the fact the Sounders are back on top. Now, in the 57th minute, Mabiala then hits it high on the header, as Portland, they still control the possession, but I also kind of feel like at this point, I started to get the feeling that, yeah, the Timbers, they got to be careful. Yes, you control the possession. Yes, you have more of the opportunity, but it seems like every time you turn the ball away, the Sounders have a chance to score, and most of the time, they bury it into the back of the net. And unfortunately for the Timbers, it seems like those mistakes that they had so far in this game, or at least they didn't kind of listen to me, because, as I said about how they cannot afford to make any more mistake that could easily be punished by the Sounders. Well, they did one in the 71st minute. And again, Ivicic, after the heroic performance he had in the last game, this was definitely a hero to zero moment for him because, yeah, he basically allowed a big rebound on this free kick from the Sounders, which Ruidíaz basically said, thank you very much. I'm just going to clean up this juicy rebound you allowed me and make it 4-2 in favor of the Seattle Sounders. And this is also kind of the moment when I realized that, yeah, the Timbers are not coming back from this. This has to be a huge deflated moment for the Timbers of them working so hard, and especially with the fact that Providence Park was bouncing throughout this majority of the game. But this is really the moment when it really killed the energy. And also, by the way, Valeri was summoned in this game. I was kind of surprised Diego Valeri wasn't summoned in this game sooner. I was also kind of surprised that Sebastian Blanco was subbed out very early in this game. Like, I understand that, yes, he was still recovering from that torn ACL, and you clearly can't put him throughout the full 90 minutes. But I thought throughout this game, Blanco was very dangerous throughout the time that he was on the pitch. And the fact that, you know, with the way that they were down 3-2, and that Savarese decided to kind of sub him out with Paredes, that is kind of a very questionable decision, even though, you know, we know that Blanco can't go the full 90 minutes. But with the way how this game, of course, is you have to keep him on with the way that he is definitely the most dangerous threat to the Sounders and a chance for you to get yourself back into this game. But instead they didn't. And also, as I mentioned, I think they definitely bought Valeri way too late in this game. I would have subbed him on at halftime if I was Giovanni Savarese. But really, by the time they subbed him on, this game was already kind of started to be done. And as I mentioned, the energy inside Providence Park has dropped significantly, and in the 77th minute, this is when pretty much some of the fans at Providence Park and some of the Timbers faithful started to head to the exit, because Jimmy Madrana scored an absolute golazo from Paulo to make it 5-2 in favor of the Sounders. And again, another goal of the week question mark, because this one was literally a corner coming in, and Madrana basically hit this one on a rope and just completely rattled the post and goes in. I mean, that post probably is still shaking as we are speaking right now, because he hits that one with so much power, and that of course gives the Sounders a 5-2 lead. And you know they also mentioned this is the most goals the Sounders have scored in Portland, and also the 1,000 Sounders fans started to kind of troll some of the Timbers faithful, leaving the game early by saying the nah, hey, goodbye, Chen. By the end of this, or as we get closer to the end of this game, I mean, pretty much this was probably the most empty I've seen Providence Park right before the game is over. I mean, the Timbers Army, a lot of them stay throughout this game, but a lot of the other Timbers fans that, you know, they were expecting their team to maybe get a big win against the Sounders, yeah, they kind of decided to leave early because, you know, they know that their team has been just absolutely embarrassed and have just almost I don't even know if they're kind. I think at that point they were kind of stunned, but I think right now a lot of them are pretty angry and just don't want to be part of this anymore, which I don't blame them, because anytime when you get embarrassed like that, again, I know some fan base will say that maybe some of these Timbers fans are plastic, but you know, anytime when your team is down that badly against a rival, and especially in a big game like this, I mean, I would assume you would probably also left too. And I'm even going to be honest, if the Quakes ever lose to the Galaxy this badly at home, I mean, I'll stay because of the vlog, but I won't blame any Quakes fan decide to leave early because of how much of an embarrassment that they suffer against their biggest rival. So yeah, you know, obviously I don't blame Timbers fan decide to walk away despite the fact that the game wasn't over, but that also allows the opposition fan, and especially the traveling supporters, to kind of troll them a little bit of leaving the game early. But yeah, besides that, I also thought the Timbers player, they definitely looked like they were down and out in this game, and really, I feel like ever since the fourth goal was scored, they just mentally checked out. And I just also knew at that moment, not only the Timbers weren't going to come back from this, but this could get really ugly for the Timbers. They decided to not really, like, I know they're mentally checked out, but not actually just kind of continue to play for some pride. And I think that's what I think is going to get a lot of Timbers fans a little bit riled up about their players, because it's one thing, you know, to be checked out and be very frustrated, but it's another to just mentally checked out and decide to just just lay down on the floor and let the Sounders have a chance to score more goals, and that's exactly what they did. As in the 4th minute, Benesse scored from Christian Rodin, and I definitely saw a couple of Timbers players are just jogging back, and it's almost like they don't even care anymore. And this is kind of the thing that frustrates fans. And if I was a Timbers fan, I would have been very frustrated about that, because yes, I understand it's 5-2. I understand things are not going well, but you should not be just walking back and let your opposition score another goal to further embarrass of what is clearly the worst Cascadia Derby, and one of the worst Cascadia Derby defeat that the Timbers have suffered in this game. But either way, at the end of the day, it finished with the Sounders winning 6-2 against the Timbers, and the shots in this one, 21 shots compared to 15 that the Sounders had, 9 shots on goal compared to 8 that the Sounders had, 5 shots off target compared to 4 that the Sounders had, 5 shots that was blocked compared to 4 that the Sounders had, and possession-wise, 49% possession compared to 51% possession that the Sounders had in this game. And as much as I know I think both of these teams, of course, are going to be playing in the middle of the week. So as much as I know the Sounders are going to be very happy about the result, they can't really celebrate this result too much because they do have a midweek game against FC Dallas. The Timbers, I believe they have a midweek game too. I actually forgot who exactly they're going to be playing. But yeah, they're going to have to trying to put this behind them, which is not going to be easy when you just get straight out embarrassed by your most hated rival at home. But for them, they just got to move on, because they can't let this game really get into their heads. I mean, I know the Cascadia Derby, it's always been a game that can really change the fortune of a team that basically participate, but they got to also make sure it doesn't change the fortune, the fact that the Timbers are going to start to struggle, and they just got to move on and keep fighting to trying to potentially make the playoffs, because with this loss. And, I think the only good thing Timbers fans might have with this game is that at least most of the team around them also did not win this weekend. So the playoff race in the Western Conference is still relatively tight, but they know that if they want to keep themselves above the red line, they got to make sure they pick up points and just kind of move away from this game as again, at the end of the game, this is still just one game. This is just 1 out of 34 games, and this game does not define the season for the Portland Timbers. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this incredible game we saw in the Cascadia Derby between the Portland Timbers and the Seattle Sounders. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.